Hello ladies and gentlemen, Cone Roger here. Welcome to another installment of Cone on the Road. Today we're going to be overviewing the Minecraft Marathon, which I returned from on Monday, but it has taken me a little while to recover from, and now I want to quickly as I can, go over the experience. So yeah, Good invited me to go to the Minecraft Marathon pretty late. It was only 2 weeks until the marathon by the time I had been invited. The marathon benefiting Extra Life charity is something that I have watched for many years now. Both the iterations of it being, you know, in person and just as a live streamed event where everybody would stream to the same channel. Recently, though, like I said, it's been an in real life thing, and certainly not something I ever dreamed or imagined I would ever be invited to. But like I said, I've certainly followed it for a long time and have helped with like moderation and that kind of stuff. All right, is everybody turning left? No, because nobody uses their blinkers. I don't road rage. You road rage. Shut up. Hey, we made it. Florida drivers. Anyway, so yeah, I'm trying to not draw this out and make this a super long video. I'm gonna try my best. But yes, getting the invite, I was hemming and hawing about it a little bit, but I decided going into this year that 2017 was the year of change. It was the year of taking chances for me. And I felt like I haven't done a whole lot of that to this point. There's been little things here and there. But upon getting that invite, despite the fact that I've always said I won't fly, I've never flown before, despite all of that, within a few hours, I talked myself into doing it. I'm not gonna lie, for the next few days, I was more full of anxiety than I can ever recall myself being. It was certainly a huge decision to make. So yeah, like I said, I've never flown anywhere. I've never been West Coast. I've never been, like, you know, part of an event like that before. I've never met most of the people that would be there. So there was plenty for me to freak out about. One of the things that made it easier and ended up working out very well is that one HC Justin was also invited as part of the Evolved part of the Minecraft Marathon. Evolved. So basically it was like Minecraft and then friends of people who were part of what was originally Minecraft. But as I mentioned previously on Cone on the Road, Justin recently moved to Florida, so I decided to buddy up with him on the flight out to San Francisco. What that meant was I had to drive to Orlando to go to the airport. Now what that meant was that I had to drive from Jacksonville area to Orlando, go to the airport. The good news is leaving from Orlando to go to SFO meant straight through flight. So for my first time flying, no layovers, no added stress or anything like that. So that was very good. But mostly it was just so relieving knowing that I had somebody there to, I don't know exactly why, but whenever I'm going into something weird or foreign and I'm just not used to it, whether I know them very well or not, if I have somebody there with me, I just handle things much better. And it's not as though I feel like I need, you know, somebody to hold my hand per se. It's just that, I don't know, my brain just goes to a different mode. Like, you know, it goes much more into like, this is the mission and this is the goal and we're just gonna push through it. Versus when I'm out on my own like head gets to me and I start, you know, making my own anxieties in my head and I end up getting freaked out about it. So having Justin there made things just so much easier for me. I did a ridiculous amount of research going into it, because I was worried about, you know, being the idiot, being the one holding everybody up and making the airport, you know, a worse place to be. So I was very knowledgeable as far as, you know, what I was supposed to be doing and all that stuff. But the TSA is everything that everybody made it out to be, at least for the Orlando side of it. I've never seen a group of people so dedicated to making the environment more uncomfortable. I don't know if those words all click together right, but it's what I mean. Like, it seems like their goal is to make sure everybody that's going through security is as unhappy as physically possible. Shouting orders, barking, you know, things like, this is how it's gonna be now, you know, this is how things are, you guys need to understand this, this is, I need you guys to step up, this is your responsibility, versus really all we needed to do was some very basic things, and could have just been, you know, either written down somewhere or said, you know, calmly over the overhead thing every now and again. There was just zero need for it. Now, granted, like I said, I was very knowledgeable going into it, and I perfectly understand that not everybody is like that. I'm sure there are lots of people out there that just go to the airport without a friggin' clue what they're supposed to be doing. I do understand that, but there was just no need for the attitude that was presented to us there. But once I got through security, which was not bad at all, like, I knew exactly what to do. Once you got up to the area, it was perfectly fine. The only thing that was holding up the line, the only thing that was making it worse, was getting everybody riled up. Because when people get riled up, that's when they do stupid things. They forget to take off their shoes. They forget to do things because they've been put into kind of like this fight or flight kind of mentality by the people working there. It's really stupid, really stupid. But getting on the plane, getting up in the air, everything was so much easier and less stressful than I imagined it would be. I don't know, like I said, if it was because Justin was there or if my brain had just like clicked over into operative, you know, basic system functions, but I did not freak out at all. Just sat in my little window seat and enjoyed the ride, basically. I think one of the things that helps a lot is, as I've gotten older, you know, through college and stuff like that, and just, you know, life experiences, I understand the physics of flying very deeply now, versus when I was a kid and very afraid of flying, very afraid of the thought of flying. I don't think I would have known that, and I feel like 10, 15 years ago, I would have freaked out a lot more, or I would have freaked out at all. I didn't really freak out at all this time around, but yeah, I do think that basic understanding of what was going on really did help. I never felt like we were out of control. I never felt like anything that was happening was unusual, and that is good. That is a very good feeling. Would I say that I'm a flyer now? Would I say that I would rather fly somewhere than drive somewhere? No. I still prefer, for sure, to just drive somewhere if I can. The feeling of being in control of your own destiny is very nice. Even though that's not true, on the highway, you know, people out there that are driving could do something really stupid and you know, take the control away from you. But it's still just, you know, a mental block. The lead up to it, like driving somewhere, isn't a big deal to me, versus the lead up to flying was a week of brain terror. So yeah, I would say if a very big opportunity like this presented itself again, I would fly. I would fly again. My ears were a big concern for the flight. Luckily, when I previously had seen the ENT to talk about the throat and voice issues, that was one of the things I brought up, because I've known that my ears, whenever I go through elevation changes, going up elevators, anything like that, my ears get severe pain. Like, it is a stabbing pain that was resolved with like a little $5 product that just filters the air that goes into your ear during pressure change. So I had zero pain for that whole flight too. So that worked out beautifully. We were very worried about the fires in San Francisco causing a bunch of flight delays and stuff like that. Our flight took off early and landed early, and there was zero drama there. So everything to do with the flight worked out beautifully. Actually ended up flying out first class so that I could sit up there with Justin, which was something. It wasn't what I imagined. I'll say that. Like, in my brain, first class was going to be like, I don't know, fancy and proper, but it was not quite that. Jeez. I'm actually driving through a part of town right now that really got flooded through the hurricane. There's a lot of stuff through here. Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. But yeah, that all, much to my amazement, went very smoothly, and I'm glad that it did, because, you know, I was worried that that would be like, well, that was it, never flying again. That was my only opportunity. I was so excited at the idea of going out there, because in my mind that was never going to happen. I was never actually going to experience, you know, the West Coast, California, anything like that for pretty much all of my life leading up to this year. So to have that opportunity was pretty cool, and I was glued to the window of the window seat in the plane, just looking at the land going under us. And it was funny because we left at like 6 a.m. and we were basically racing the sunrise, it seemed, the whole way out, which was really an interesting thing. But luckily the sun, by the time we had hit like Texas, was enough in the sky that I could see, and it was pretty amazing seeing the mountains, the cliffs, the like canyons and stuff. It really does look like it looks on Google Maps, but it's really cool seeing it in real life, in person. I was pretty amazed. The actual marathon itself, so much different than I expected. I think it's different than everybody expected, which actually really helped, because it was so much more serious. It was so much more of a studio setting, and different than the previous Mindcrack marathons, that everybody kind of felt like it was a new, fresh start. The biggest thing for me was I was worried that the people there would just kind of look at me and go like, "Who's this guy? Why he here?" And, you know, it's all in my head, but I was very worried that I would just feel and seem very out of place there. Especially, you know, being a relative nobody in a sea of somebodies and people that I've respected and looked up to and followed and watched for many years now. I was a little worried, but from the moment we got there and everybody got together, I never felt anything but welcome. Like, everybody that was there, their online personas matched their real life personas pretty much. It was just very cool and welcoming to be hanging out with everybody, and met a lot of, you know, people that I had maybe not followed very closely, and, you know, just talking to them, meeting them, it was really cool. It was very, I don't know, it just felt like, even though I didn't really know anybody besides Kurt that was there, it just felt like a group of friends. There was no arguing, there was no drama amongst anybody. It was just, everybody was there. I mean, it helps that it's, you know, everybody's there for, you know, a great, amazing cause. That certainly does help to kind of put everybody in the right mindset, I guess. But yeah, like I said, it was just a very cool experience. I will have to go over more of like that stuff, maybe during a truck stream or something like that, when I'll have more of an open time format. But just know that it was an incredible experience, and the main thing I want to get across is that you guys made it please refuel, made it much more of an amazing experience. From the time I got, like, you know, you can get like shirts and things like that. You can get like little, you can put your donations towards incentives for the people that are there, or drawbacks. From the first shirt to doing the jelly bean challenge thingamajig, every time that there was mention of like the donation money going towards, or the, you know, the donation points being spent towards me, really it alleviated all of the worries that I had of like, they're gonna feel so, you know, bad for, you know, they basically spent the money to bring me out there, and I was worried, you know, they wouldn't get any return on that. And I don't know, immediately I felt like that wasn't the case, and that made me feel so good. And thank you to everybody who just A, donated, or B, followed along of the marathon. It was great to feel like our little community is very strong and is very, you know, supportive, and even though it's a little community, you know, we made an impact on the marathon, which raised $262,000 in 2 days for Extra Life and not Child's Play. That's always going to be ingrained in my head. Extra Life and Children's Miracle Network. Very cool. It was a very mind-blowing experience. The set was so much different than I expected. Like, it was so much more serious than I expected, and everybody expected. There was just a sea of cameras and an actual production studio, a production trailer. There was a trailer where they were doing like the sound mixing and stuff. It was insane. And I mean, just walking into there was surreal. It was absolutely surreal, between the fact that like all of the people were there, all of these people that I've always looked up to and respected, or just, you know, people that have made it in that industry are there, and I'm there with them, like working alongside of them. And then add into the mix that like insane studio situation. It was extremely surreal, and it took me a long time to even process, like, I can't believe that actually just happened. It was pretty crazy. But yeah, I definitely want, there's a lot more to go into, but I wanted to make sure I got this recorded to say thank you to everybody that helped out and have gotten me to this point. Like, I would have been, you know, irrelevant. I would have been somebody never invited if it wasn't for everybody's support on making Cone Dodger a thing. I mean, huge thanks go out to Kurt for sure, for, you know, being the initial push to, you know, even associate myself with the Mindcrack group. And also, the whole event for me was a huge financial risk. Yeah, I knew it was going to be a very expensive thing to do, and he also definitely, and everybody that was there, honestly, not just Kurt, but everybody made me feel like I shouldn't be worried about that stuff. I'm trying to think of the right words. Everybody was extremely accommodating. I was worried that I would feel like a burden, but it didn't feel that way at all. Everybody was just extremely accommodating and so kind, and that was very relieving. The flight back was different because I was just flying regular coach. I did manage to score myself a window seat again. Apparently you can move your seat if you check in early, which was cool. So I got myself a window seat, but on the way back, after averaging about 4 hours of sleep per day for the last 5 days of that trip, I actually slept for a good bit of the trip. Coach wasn't really that much different. Like, yeah, like I said, the first class thing was really not that amazing. So Coach was just kind of like, okay, this is what it is. But then the coolest part of the flight back, A, going into the sunset, it happens very quickly. It's very bizarre. It's just like you're looking out the window and the sun's just like whoop. But I got to see a lot more. I actually picked intentionally the left side of the plane so I could see, you know, see the most land. And then I had a thought here. What was it? Oh, also I was behind the wing, which was really fascinating because like watching the wing bounce around and watching the flaps and stuff work, it was really fascinating to see the stuff working mechanically. But I could see where if I didn't know how mechanical structures worked as well as I do now, it would have freaked me out seeing that wing move around and bounce around. But like I said, just having an understanding of how everything worked really did help. It put me at ease. Right when we got to the Florida area, there was a huge storm that had developed off the East Coast. So I ended up being able to see a thunderstorm from the sky from a distance. It did give us a little turbulence, but not too bad. But that was pretty bizarre and very cool. It was extremely cool to see that from the sky. The landing at Orlando was apparently rough. Everyone around me was like, whoa, wow, that was a rough landing. And I'm just sitting there like, I take harder hits than that every day I drive the 240. So it really wasn't that bad. I need to stop somewhere because I have one package from the P.O. box to open before we conclude for the day. But like I said, I have a lot more stories and thoughts about the whole trip, but I'll go over them in more detail possibly Monday, possibly the same day as this. Yeah, possibly the same day this video is going up, during a truck stream, American Truck Simulator stream. Because that's just, you know, long format. I can just go on and on about the stuff. Let's see. I'm sure there's somewhere out here in the countryside where I could just pull over. Just a simple little package to open. See what I can find. Oh man. West Coast looks cool. I guess I didn't really talk about that very much. The area we were in wasn't really San Francisco. We landed in the San Francisco area and then immediately went north. So I got to ride over the Bay Bridge on the way out with Justin in a rental car. We were gonna like do some touristy stuff, some sightseeing, but we were all just way too exhausted. It was me, Justin, Breon, and Michael. And yeah, we got to see some stuff, including a car on fire or a forest fire. We have no idea what it was. So we did see that stuff, but then we immediately went to our first hotel, which is actually another thing I need to mention. I better drive slow. And that is that Marriott, like, I'm not trying to be a corporate, you know, like, gross corporate worshiper, but Marriott really did step up and help us out. Because of the fires, there was a lot of evacuees that were staying in the hotels, and, you know, that happened to coincide exactly when we were supposed to be staying in places. They went above and beyond to make sure we had places to go and places to stay. Like, I can't even imagine the amount of money that they spent, or really just the amount of time that they spent trying to put together rooms for everybody. I mean, we were sharing rooms and stuff, but still, there was a lot of people going to this marathon, and they, like I said, they just really stepped up to make sure we had places to be. They shuttled us between hotels because, you know, we had to move rooms to try and, you know, we didn't want to displace anybody. That was a big thing. We did not want to displace anybody that was, you know, evacuating from the fires. That was a big thing. So they were extremely accommodating to make sure that that happened. And as far as I know, that is exactly what happened. We did not displace anybody that was trying to escape from the fires and stuff. So huge shout out to them for making that possible. Didn't really spend very much time in a hotel. The schedule is extremely rigorous. And everybody said that for the next year, like, a chill day is needed. Like, it was just way too fast paced. Nobody even felt like we got to hang out together or anything, which is a little bit of a bummer. But we were all so happy with how the event went that it wasn't like devastating or anything like that. It was just extremely rigorous. Luckily, I'm used to not sleeping and going for very long stretches of working and such, so didn't really... Oh, here's a nice spot to stop, actually. Cool. So yeah, it didn't really negatively affect me too much, but there was some of the guys that there where they're like, I need my 8 hours of sleep. So way back, I rode with Chad and Big Giant Circles and Josh, I think, and got to see the Golden Gate Bridge and some more of like San Francisco proper. So that was cool. I could say that I've seen it. It sounds like that will probably be the same location for next year, maybe. Pixel Corps was the one that the studio that we're using, and that crew, I mean, this is what they do. Like, they're a legit production crew. So they were amazing, and it sounds like they liked us being there. So hopefully, if I should stay relevant enough to get invited again, then maybe I'll get to see more of San Francisco next time. But it was just seeing what I saw was more than I ever expected to see in my life. So it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. All right, I was trying not to go super long, but I've already done it. But I do have one package to open. I have a feeling I know what it is. This is from Paul, who is, I think I mentioned maybe in a vlog, maybe just in Cohen's Garage, but he, I want to say partially inspired by my series, I'm going to take some credit here, Paul, has started his own kind of garage series, and his tends to be more into fabrication and metalworking and now smelting and, you know, that kind of cool stuff. He's making his own forges and things like that. Paul's Garage, I'll put a link in the description. His personality for this stuff is way above and beyond what I could do. He's an amazing presenter for this kind of stuff, and I really do think he's going to be very successful with it. And this is exactly what I thought it would be. It is one of the things that was created on that series or on that channel. It's a cone. It's a aluminum forged cone. Well, not forged, is it? Poured, casted. It's an aluminum casted key ring, keychain, cone. Seems like there's more stuff in here. What else we got? Oh, it's the Datsun. I didn't realize that he had done that so long ago. I can give this to my dad, like, right now. It's a cast aluminum Datsun logo. That's really cool. Like, he melted this. He melted aluminum, poured and made a mold and poured this and cast that himself. It's very, very cool. Very cool. And he's got, like I said, he's a very funny individual, so you should definitely check that out. Oh, there's another one in here. Oh, it's the 3D printed one. He's also doing 3D printed. So there's an original. Very cool. Thank you, Paul. Very cool to get some of your handmade creations. Is it really handmade? I guess so. You made it with your hands. You just happened to use molten metal to do it. All right, well, that will do it for this time on Cohen on the Road. Reminders, I do have a P.O. box. If you ever had anything to send, just drop me a message and I'll get you that information. Like I said, I'll overview more of the marathon stuff in the live stream coming up. Also know that some big changes will be happening here soon. Like I said, the marathon thing, that was the big risk, the big change, the big chance. That's the word I was looking for. I'm hoping that was the start of something. I'm hoping that was the start of getting me inspired to make some big changes that I've been needing to make for a very long time, to try and push myself further. So maybe that was the start of it. And for sure, I've made some decisions that are going to change things here soon, and hopefully all for the better. So stay tuned for that. We'll probably do another Cohen on the Road early next month, and this one was kind of just trying to shove out thoughts about the marathon before they left my brain. And thank you all for your support, and I'll see you next time here on the road.